great to have you on the programme today. Was there anything that stood out to you from the report?
What struck me about the report was that I felt it was quite damning. There seemed to be a lot that Lancashire got wrong. Although it was praised broadly for its investigation and its search operation, there were lots of things that the force didn't do. And I described it as quite damning, although the language that's used by the report authors doesn't really justify that. Avoidable and unnecessary was the most serious accusation when the report authors were talking about that release of Nicola Bulley's personal information. And I think they could have gone a bit harder on that.
I was really interested by what it felt to me to be a criticism of the way that relationships between the press and the police are going. It feels like we're almost at an all-time low.
We certainly are, post the Leveson report, but I got a sense from what was said and the conclusions in the report that things are going to change. Let's see if they do. But certainly, since Leveson, about, 10, 11 years ago, his report said that police officers were often too cosy in their relationship with journalists. It eventually led to most police forces using Leveson as an excuse not to talk to us, not to engage with us, as they once did.
Certainly. What does that mean? Does that mean, not going to the pub with you, or does that mean, OK, I'm not even really going to pick up the phone to you, or not going to give you any of the information that you're asking for?
Well, it became quite severe. There was a real sense of the drawbridge being pulled up, the shutters coming down. A lot of police officers felt that even if they were seen or heard to have any kind of relationship with journalists, they were going to get into trouble. And there were some officers who got sacked because they were deemed to have disclosed information to a journalist that wasn't within their particular remit. So police officers were running scared. They were not answering their phones. They were not answering their bleepers. I mean, these are still the days when police officers carried bleepers. And the idea of meeting a police contact in a pub or having lunch with them became a really alien concept. And what really annoyed journalists was that, the Leveson report was into media ethics and relationships between police and journalists and police and political reporters, and you'll know this. As far as I know, nothing changed in the way that politicians and journalists interacted and swapped gossip and stories.
That's true, actually. I think about, from a political perspective, you get steers, you get off-the-record briefings. If you want to, for example, the autumn statement tomorrow, you could get an off-the-record briefing from the Chancellor's guy on what to expect. But that doesn't happen in policing.
No, it became really difficult to be a crime reporter. Now, at my age and, the years I've been doing it, I didn't really mind that much. And, of course, you should never rely on police sources alone for stories. There are lots of other story sources. But I did feel very sorry for younger generations who were coming into our business and trying to be crime reporters and finding that it was very, very difficult. And it didn't just apply to dealing with police officers, it applied to dealing with police press officers as well.
And what's the impact of that? Because some people listening will be like, well, that's good, that there shouldn't be an inappropriate relationship between journalists and the police.
Well, sometimes people who are particularly victims of crime or know about crimes go to the police and get ignored. And so where else are they going to get their stories listened to? And often they would go to the media. One of the other things, of course, is that by having relationships with police officers, we begin to understand the complexities and the pressures of their job. We are there to explain how these institutions work, particularly the police, and without that kind of regular contact with the officers on the ground, we lose that idea of, what they are up against. And I think it's part of our duty to explain what they do, how they do it, the pressures they're under.
It's been really interesting to talk. Thank you very much for coming on the programme.